question.
member
If you need
more
my
space up and down.
in this room.
Oh, that's probably why they don't want to.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for your patience in waiting for us. I will now read the open public meeting statement. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board Town Hall and serving the officially designated newspapers. A notice stating that this meeting would take place in Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. on April 3rd, 2025. Would you
Allison Canfield,
hear?
Elizabeth Wonga.
Here.
Brad Jenkins, Justin Salem, Jessica Glatt, Venkatesh Chappalavada,
Here.
Christine Best, Gary Rosen.
Here.
David Cosgrove.
Here.
Thank you. If you could just please make note, Gary Rosen is in place of Jessica Glass. Thank you. So first order of business is the adoption of the resolution for our new attorney, Catherine Kopp. We want to welcome her. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Catherine Kopp as Historic Preservation Board attorney. Do I have a second? Roll, please.
Allison, I'm sorry, if I'm gonna, do I have to be sworn in?
Yeah, that was my question too. Should I get sworn in again?
Are you not? Yeah, you guys, oh, you're right, we forgot. Gary, you have to be sworn in.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
We don't have the paperwork though, so is that? What do you think?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think, that's kind of up to your attorney, but I think it would, I can see if I can find the paperwork to be sworn.
Or can we just?
I have-
Got it?
Oh,
Fantastic.
awesome. Okay, here we go.
All right, I heard her that.
Okay, do you want to do this individually or at the same time, or?
Well, you have to accept, so we have a second. So now we're gonna take roll for you to be acting attorney.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Elizabeth Wonga, Venkatesh Chappalavada,
Yes.
Gary Rosen, David
Yes.
Cosgrove.
I don't vote on these, so, yeah, you know.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so you want to do this individually or at the same time?
Yeah, how do you swear yourself in though? You don't have to be.
No, but you don't, she doesn't.
No, I don't need to
We
be,
do.
no, they
Right.
just-
do.
Or I do.
It was the first meeting since the beginning of the year for me.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
You've
matter.
already been sworn in, so it's
I-
just you.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
so then you're going to repeat after me.
Yep.
So I state your name,
I, Gary Rosen,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear that I
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Commissioner
the
of the
historic,
Historic Preservation Commission of Milburn Township,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Welcome.
Let me explain this. David Rosen is the liaison for zoning. Jessica was prior to this, and he was not at the beginning of the year, so he was not put in until, this last month, correct? So we welcome you back,
Thank you.
and thank you. And thank you, Catherine. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yes. And for those who haven't met Dave Cosgrove, I mentioned him in our February meeting that he is the TC liaison to the HBC. So we want to welcome him on board. So thank you, Dave, for volunteering. I hope you weren't shoved into
No.
it. Perfect.
So far.
So great. Our next order of business, resolution adopting revised 2025 meeting schedule. So it was brought to my attention that the HPC meeting was scheduled for October 2nd, which we all know is a holiday. This meeting will be be rescheduled for October 9th. So please mark your calendar. Do we have any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt the revised 2025 meeting schedule?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Roll, please.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Elizabeth Wonga,
Yes.
Venkatesh Chattopadhyay,
Yes.
Gary Rosen.
Yes.
Perfect. So we move on to meeting minutes. The minutes of February 6th, 2025 meeting have been distributed to the commissioners. Are there any additions or corrections from anyone? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Thank you.
I wasn't there.
No, you can't. If you weren't there, so we need Brad. Can I second as chair? I think I can second.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't really vote, but I know.
we don't, I mean, do we even have enough people to vote?
No, he'll be here though.
Okay, why don't we move on to the next one and then,
Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay. I think memorializations, I think we're safe with. From February 6th, application number 577, 122 Cypress Street. We have application number 594, 1 Moraine Place, and application number 596, 441 Wyoming Avenue. Do I hear a motion to approve the memorializations as listed? That we can't second it?
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Okay, we're back. I thought we were safe with that one. Okay. For old business, council,
so do you wanna do the?
Yeah.
Okay, so application 588 for 17 Highland Avenue, block 211, lot 17. It's a non-contributing property in the Short Hills Park Historic District, property owned by Yangmin Pan and Guofeng Ki as the applicants. It's being carried to May 1st without further notice.
thank you. We don't need to vote on that or? just-
No, just being carried without further notice.
Thank you. So first up is application number 604, 375 Milburn Avenue, block 1212, lot number 4. It's the Milburn Town Hall, this very building that we're in. For capital improvements, Milburn Township is the applicant. I want to remind the commissioners that this application before Historic Preservation Commission is a courtesy for questions, comments, recommendations to the application that we will forward then to the planning board. If we could have the presenter or architect come forward, and we don't mind swearing them in.
Okay, you can state your name for the record, please.
Florence is my legal name, Laura Berwind.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
I'm Laura Berwind from the Goldstein Partnership Architects. I have with me Eli Goldstein, and we've been working with the building committee, Maeve, Alex, and others actually, to come up with a addition and renovation to this building. I think you all received these packets. This building, I actually want to take you to the third page of the packet first. This building has quite a history of adapting itself and being reused in different ways. On this page, you'll see that there are 5 additions. The original build was the firehouse up front in pink. And then in green, there are 2 additions, one on the east and one on the west, not exactly at the same time. I'm not exactly sure which one went first and second, but part of that was the police occupying it and part of it was offices occupying it. And then in orange in the center was an infill that happened in between when the firing range was also built underneath it, underground. So this building has a history of changing itself and being altered in order to accommodate the municipality and its needs. And we just want to take a cue from that as we move forward into this new renovation. So if you look on the first page, is the plans, and you'll see the dotted red line shows the break between what is existing and what is new. So it is a substantial addition, but much like other substantial additions that have happened to the building previously. I have the second sheet elevations, but I think what is more helpful is the 3D views that we provided. So if you flip to the fourth page, you've got the view from Milburn Avenue. So that very much stays what it's going to be, what it is right now. The only thing that we have planned there is you now have a smattering of all kinds of windows, mostly vinyl replacements. We are going to go back to a wood window, but aluminum clad so that it is more durable from the outside, and it will get you more of that historic detail that used to be there originally. We actually are going to keep both the double front doors. We have sort of manipulated our egress plans so that we're actually not going to use them, even though there's a stair in one corner, as egress doors. So even though they're 5 foot wide, 2'6" and 2'6" leaves, which is too narrow by today's codes, we figured out a way to keep it intact. So the Milburn Avenue side will look very much like it does now. The next page is a view from the parking lot, east side. Most of what you see on the east side now and the entrance that you come into now was actually an addition, right? It wasn't an original part of the building. So we have decided to continue that side in the same manner, sort of quiet. It ends up tucking behind other houses in that area as well. So you never actually, because of how this building is situated, see that view. You have the elevation sheet, but I thought that this view was more valuable so you understand you're only seeing a fragment of the building at a time. And then the last page is the northern and western views, where the addition is substantial addition of the meeting room, this room, and also we're making it so that it can work as a courtroom as well, is different and new, and we've separated that from the older part of the building. We've got a glass facade for the lobby entrances so that there's a delineation, but we're keeping it in the same brick, the same language, just a more contemporary use of the material. Some of the challenges we have, and I know you're in this building, but sometimes you don't look at the building you're in very carefully. So I'm going to give you some pictures of the existing. So you'll see at the top of the sheet a picture of your slate that you guys really can't see from the street. I was actually standing on the flat roofs taking a picture at the where the first edition, the original building meets the first edition, and you can see on the right how there was a slate repair and the differences in the colors of the slates and the texture of the slate. You have a very unusual slate on your roof. It's a mottled purple heavy gauge slate. Very expensive, very hard to match, and about a 10-month lead time to even get it. So we are going to continue with a slate roof on the parking lot view side, on the eastern view side. But we put some dormers on the roof in that area in order to be able to transition to a different slate, kind of mark the difference from the old to the new, and not have it butt directly one to the other. They'll come at each other at a 90-degree angle. So you'll always have that copper valley in between, breaking up the two.
Can I just ask when that was put in? That's like,
I don't know when that repair was made. I don't know. And then the other two pictures I have are kind of highlight your additions, right? The east addition at the parking lot actually met the cornice of the old building and the slope of the old building. But the additions on the west side and the infill addition changed the level of a cornice twice, right? They've got a lot of mismatched and also odd windows that happened. You can see that in the middle picture of the middle addition. So we're trying to kind of unify this again by having that cornice at the same level. And on our new piece, even though it's not a cornice in the addition, if you look at the last page of your packet, we are keeping a band around the building, even the new building, at the same level, although it's not a cornice and not treated in the same way. So our goal really was to sort of keep in the theme of the building, let the new part of the building be new, but make it unified in its materiality and its the cornice lines and the tie it together so that it's a single, it ends up as one piece as opposed to what we have now, which is a little bit of a hodgepodge around the back.
Are you done?
Unless you have any questions for me.
Sure we will. So we'll start with questions and comments. You can start anywhere.
Okay, so I had some questions, I guess. Can you let us know just overall what functions are being added to the building? Like, what's the driver for this addition?
So the functions will all be municipal functions. The meeting room is going to be moved to the first floor, right, and made more accessible. Because as you know, when you come in here, it's a little bit convoluted to get back into here. We're also, so part of the complication of this building has nothing to do with the building or historic preservation, but the fact that you're in a floodplain and you have a basement in a historic building because it was put there before floodplains were determined. We are pulling everything out of the basement and not reoccupying the basement. So right now your basement serves as archives. You'll see on the second floor plan, there's a big archive space that comes up and out. We're still negotiating with the DEP and FEMA in order to figure out exactly, the basement might need to be turned into a crawl space entirely, but that still remains to be seen, but it cannot be occupied any longer.
So you're not adding any functions to the building? Like, what's in this building functionality?
Well, this meeting room is going to be significantly different and larger, right? And the space, as I said, that's being used in the basement comes up above on the second floor. Oh, yes, and because the courtroom can also be used as a court, violations, which is currently in the police building, moves over here.
And it looks, I mean, I'll just be honest, the office spaces are very generous from what I'm seeing currently in the workplace. So I just want to understand what the utilization rate was. Like, so for the number of people working in the office spaces, what is the square foot per person?
That I would need to figure out to tell you. I don't know.
Okay, so how did you figure out, I guess, the space sizes for this building?
Well, we do municipal buildings. This is very typical in terms of what we do. The bulk of the space of the addition is the meeting room itself, and the demands it takes for that. The other thing is that takes up more space is this new building will be completely accessible. So our bathroom spaces and our toilet compartment spaces and our hallways are also more generous. But that is required in any new way forward.
What is the circulation rate or ratio
Um,
for the offices? I'll be honest, I looked at the plans that you had before, and it seems like all the offices have become more generous than what was currently in the building. And that's not the way that the industry is going. And so I think the biggest thing that flagged was an office that was almost 400 square feet.
Which office is 400 square feet?
It's administrator's office, looks like to be close to 400 square feet, which, I mean, that is larger than I've seen, almost the heads of companies at this point. So I found a lot of the office spaces to be quite large, given current workplace standards. And I guess my concern is, the reason I started looking at that is because I looked at the building and I said, this building is substantially larger and very imposing in this area. And I was trying to figure out what the drivers were for it. And so that's why I was asking you those questions as to what is driving it? Like, what, are we adding functions to it? Are we making spaces bigger? Are we, making circulation larger? Are there things that we could do could reduce the size of this building, I guess is what my driving questions are. So I guess I'm surprised we don't know what the utilization rate of this building is, because that is very standard to know when building a building. I guess I can't even imagine why that wouldn't have been looked at in a stacking plan.
You can swear me in if you like. Eli Goldstein. Sorry, my voice, I'm getting over a cold.
Sure. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
So, as a municipal building, we have to deal with a whole bunch of issues that wouldn't apply in a conventional office building. In this case, for example, once the court comes over here, we have to provide a security screening area in the lobby to deal with the requirements of the administrative office of the courts.
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
And that's a substantial amount of space to allow people to queue, to be, to have their bags checked before they go in, to go through magnetometers before they go into the courtroom. The occupant load of this building, believe it or not, is about 350 people because of the fact that there can be multiple functions going on simultaneously, including use of the court, use of the multiple conference rooms and so on. So we don't actually calculate it by utilization because it's meaningless given the combination of uses that are going on here. We can certainly calculate the average office size if you like, and we can get you that information after the meeting. But there are numerous public interactions, transaction areas, for example, for the building engineering department, that skews everything because of the intensity with which they're used.
Yeah, but those are operation spaces versus administrative spaces. So
Right.
I guess I'm asking, to be honest, I'm asking mostly about the administrative spaces. The
Okay.
operation spaces are, a form of function, right? That you have to have those of a certain size.
Right. We can
The
certainly get you that
administrative
information.
spaces seem to me to be very large, and they're actually bigger than what we have currently in the building. So that's surprising to me. And so I was trying to figure out really what the driving factors are, because, just, if I look at just overall, I think this is a massive addition to this downtown area. And I wanted to see what are the things that is there any way to make it smaller? Like, is there any way to make it so that it's not so imposing? And I really would ask you to really look at the administrative spaces and if those are necessary and if some of the circulation is really necessary. There's a lot of space around things in here. And I mean, to me, some of these office sizes are so much larger than what you're seeing in the industry right now. And so I think that's concerning to me. And I think if we look at that, I think you can really shrink the square footage of this building that's coming in. I mean, I think actually the law spaces are the most reasonable. Those actually look a little small. But I think the administrative spaces are shocking.
Well, we can certainly get those
So
information.
I think, for me, I would love to see this addition get a lot smaller and really hone in on what spaces are really needed. And even the same with the archives. I mean, are those, all of those archives are absolutely needed to create a building, a space so large for archives? There's no way to digitize those.
There are certain records that the state requires remain in hard copy
I
forever.
understand, but this is quite a large space.
Yes.
I don't know how many.
Well, you understand we're giving up the entire basement, which if you were to go down there, you'd see files everywhere. So we can certainly get that information for you, but we don't have it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is really my biggest issue with this, is just the size of it. I mean, it's just scale wise, it's dwarfing this building. And it's kind of dwarfing the area, it's dwarfing the parking lot, it's dwarfing the buildings around it. And I would really like to see if there's any way to control the size of it. So that honestly is my biggest concern, is really maybe getting the size something more reasonable. And then, I'll let other people comment on the architecture of it, and give the floor to other people for questions. But to me, I think if we could get some of those numbers on your circulation and utilization rate and look at industry and, give us some industry perspective on that, I think it would be helpful.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any other comments from commissioners?
I'd like to say, looking at the other additions that has come before and this new addition, it looks totally different. Looking from the design and elevations and everything. Is there a reason for that?
The courtroom addition
The new addition,
in the back, yes.
complete new addition looks totally different.
Well, we're using the Secretary of Interior Standards, wants you to differentiate, how people view that often breaks down in different ways. We decided to use the same language, the brick and the patterning of the brick, and carry it through, but make it look like it is a new part of the building, because it is.
I have a question somewhat related to that. If you look at the east side of this building, and even the west side, one of the things, and you brought up the Interior Secretary, avoid designs that unify the two volumes into a single architectural design. Do you feel that that's kind of happening? And certainly especially on the east side, it looks like just one building. And I think maybe that's what your clarification there. So can you help us with that? I guess maybe back up and tell us how, I look at this as a rehabilitation project for the historic building. So I have to look at some of the historic elements, and it would be fair for you to maybe explain to all of us, like, your thinking of
So that East Side Addition, the historic East Side Addition, right, which is the entrance that everybody walks through from the parking lot, basically, right? That's not original to the building. If you look at that and take a cue from that, it is actually, until you look at it very closely, very similar to the existing building, right? And the way you kind of see where it's different, right, is in the roof line, right? There's a copper hip valley junction, right? That kind of gives you the line that you can then see. And then if you look at it closely, you see that the brick is a little bit different. The openings are a little bit different. So we kind of continued that way on that same east side, right? And we set up the dormers again as a breaking point, right? Something very clear that takes you from, this is where this addition ended and this addition now begins. And it will have the same effect. Your brick and your windows and your everything that you bring to it now, even if we tried to match it exactly, it would never match exactly, right? You're going to see the differences between one and the other. But we kept the east side quiet because that's what the previous edition had done, right?
Well, don't you think?
Actually, my question is more on the other side, where there are no windows. It's just looks like a big window.
Well, that's courtroom where we have, so you see those brick verticals?
Where you have the tree lines.
Yes. In between is glass block. The problem with putting windows there is because if it's going to be used as a courtroom, it can't have windows into it. All visuals need to be obscured from the outside.
But it doesn't mean you can't have light come in. It just
Yes.
means it can't be, so you
And
visually
there
see.
is, so
Okay,
if you look at
correction.
the those elevations, every time there's a break in those brick panels, there's glass block in between. So there will be plenty of natural light in the space. It's just that you can't see through it. It'll be the textured block so that you get light without a visual.
Right. So.
And
let's-
that's, New Jersey courts rules.
So what's the width on those? I'll call them windows, I'm not sure they are, but.
The glass block or?
The part that lets the light in, those larger panels of brick.
Of brick. You have 8 inches between it, that goes from floor to ceiling between every panel.
That lets in a lot of light.
Mhm.
I have no idea. It seems small. Okay.
So if I can go back, just some clarification on the rehabilitation, let's just say, for the lack of better, right? Because it's not designated historic, but it is truly historic, and it is on the element of the master plan. If you look at the historic pictures, the reason that the facades on both sides of this building is because there were buildings next to them. So it was never about, because there was a building very close to it. So of course, there wasn't going to be as significant, let's just say, as the front of this building. So the question is, I'm sure you probably knew that already, but now you have a building, because of its size and scale, the mass of it, now you have a 4-sided view from all directions. And my question is, it seems, I don't know. I don't even know, and I'm not an architect, so forgive me. So
It's okay.
I'm doing the best I can.
But actually from the east side, it's never a 4-sided view, right? Because you actually have these homes, those row of homes that face, what is it? Essex, right? That are still going to be there. Like the east elevation is never seen as an entire elevation. You don't even see the current east elevation as an entire elevation. You kind of get it clipped. And now that it continues, it's going to disappear behind the home completely.
But you agree, though, because of the parking lot, there is a huge space where if you're driving down Milburn Avenue, or maybe not from Essex, that view, but you will see, of course, the back of the building. And driving up Milburn, you would see the whole east side, right? Or west side of the building.
West side, yes,
Yeah.
west side.
So again, I just want to understand, so what you said is you're just following what the addition was on that particular building. But, and Bart, you may have to jump in here for me, but historically, it's really about the original building, not necessarily the additions that followed. Is that true or not true?
Sorry, maybe you can rephrase what you mean.
Okay, so the additions that were added to the original historic building, are we not supposed to actually concentrate more on the actual original building? Because the additions were added also when there were homes, there was a house very close to that building or another building. So of course, there wouldn't have been a lot of architectural design for those additions. Am I correct, or?
On this building, that's true. I mean, the roofs do something different. Instead of having stone lintels and jack arches, they have brick, things like that. So you could even tell by the different brick patterns and bondings that they don't match up, that those are additions. So, but it's a lot of brick, in this building, obviously.
Okay. Also, I just want to clarify, it looks like the original building and I appreciate, the doors that are going to be functioning and all that, but did you ever take in consideration the original doors that were there for the fire station, or making those into windows to make those, open them up again? So they, again, it feels like that was frozen in time, that particular building, which, good historic preservation really doesn't freeze it, you know what I mean? It updates it, it makes it, the use of it today. So was that even considered? Windows?
Well, your
were-
3 arches in front, right, were the historic doors, firehouse doors.
Right.
And those areas were closed up and put windows in
Correct.
to be, when this became a municipal building as opposed to a essential public facilities, because it was police and fire at one point, because police was the addition. So we're not going back to a firehouse, right? We're still being used as a municipal function.
Right.
So we're putting new windows in there, right? But there's still going to be windows because there's office spaces in those spaces.
Correct. I'm saying
Mhm.
definitely the windows, but opening them up, the windows to further down to represent the door that was there, would that not give it more of an architectural, appreciating what was there, the history of this building? And then somehow, maybe, again, Barton, you're gonna have to help me out with this, but they should be compatible and in design and with a historic building. So, I pulled up just some things, and again, I'm not an architect, but how they've rehabbed buildings or how they've added additional to work with a historic building. And I'm sure you guys obviously have done some additions on historic or renovations on historic buildings, also additions to those historic buildings too. So I'm a little concerned that we've just got something very stark with a bunch of windows and not really adding any of the elements from the actual historic building and incorporating them into, the bigger span of the building. Do you know what I mean? On both sides. So,
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah.
well,
I guess.
Go ahead.
if I were gonna say, I mean, I think there's not a lot of play in the design, right? There's not, it's one flat, long facade, kind of, and even the addition on the other side, although it's not quite as long, it's just reading so monolithic. The proposed design, the addition on the parking lot side is very monolithic. There's not anything that breaks up the design that even other than at the roof level, putting in the dormers, which also seem slightly small. There's not a good differentiation. It just seems very monolithic. And then I think, again, with the courtroom addition, it's very monolithic. There's not.
But let's take a look at the last sheet, right? It's not of your packet. If you look at the top view, you can see that it's actually, there's a big break in a courtyard between the existing and the new, right? It's actually not a big monolith. There's an inset in the building, and you can see that in the plan as well.
I think I just mean the building itself. There's not a lot of, it just seems like a block, like it's very heavy. And I think that's kind of going back to my original comment. I think that the scale of this, again, I don't know, what is the height of the courtroom?
The courtroom is 20, it's the band at the top of the courtroom is 26 feet, right? Which is the same as the cornice at the top of your building.
And interior of the courtroom.
The interior is lower because I've got ducts and pipes and what have you in there, yeah.
Do you know the height of it?
But 22 feet.
I just don't know if there's any way to, I think, to me, there's nothing breaking up, again, there's not, if you look at this, there's not a lot of definition. It's just, you know, a long building. And then the same with the other side. There's no definition. There's no sort of anything to kind of bring it back to the scale of the neighborhood, right? Like sometimes even if you have a larger building in a historic area, you kind of break it into chunks to bring the scale back to the surrounding, right? You can play with these to, you know, have something that, you know, even if it was, you know, something slightly that wasn't all one dimension, it would go better with the scale of the neighborhood. You know, I've seen buildings before where, you know, they broken it into small chunks and, you know, even some of the buildings that I've found around here that are residential, right? They kind of break it up so that it goes with the scale of the neighborhood. Or not, you know, I think the scale of it is very imposing. And, you know, sometimes you do that with a courthouse to make it look imposing, but I feel like in this downtown, that doesn't seem appropriate.
You know, the scale of it was to work with the scale of this existing building. So what you're saying is you'd like to see it smaller than this building.
Well, I mean, I do think I would like to see the whole building smaller because I do think that there are spaces that could be thought out. You know, I mean, as I said, almost 400 square foot office space for the administrator. I haven't seen offices like that in the workplace in maybe 25 years. I mean, that is, some of these offices are over 200 square feet for, you know, administrative offices. I think a lot of administrative offices are going to 100 to 150 square feet. So I do think that there is a substantial amount of space being used in this building that's maybe not necessary. You know, and so if that could help with shrinking the scale of this overall addition, I think that would be very helpful. And I think fiscally responsible as well. So I think it would be, you know, speaking as somebody that lives in the town, but also as a historic preservationist, I think we could really get this building to be quite a bit smaller. But I think also being a resident of this town, I think we should have a building that we're not making substantial offices in. So I think from both standpoints, I would ask that you look at this design, because I think, you know, looking at it, the more I looked at it, the more I was like, this, you know, I mean, you guys are building other municipal places. Universities are, I can tell you definitely, universities are not building any buildings with administrative offices this size, right? There's a lot of places that are not building spaces like this. A lot of towns are coming up. A lot of counties are coming up with workplace transformation initiatives to make all these spaces quite a bit smaller than what I'm seeing in these drawings. And I do think that would help the historic preservation as well, if we could shrink this entire addition and make this something that could really fit into the town. And, you know, you can do great design and people can have smaller spaces without it, you know, and still have the functionality that they need in the modern office. So I really would love to see this whole design shrunk by substantially.
I'd like to also, sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, I'd like to mention, you know, we don't really know at what point what phase this is in, right? So I guess the question is, I think all of us are aware, we're sitting in this building that we need a new renovation, we need a new building, correct? So that part we know, right? And size, we don't know where you are in this process. So I agree with Elizabeth, but I'd also see if there's any room to relook at the facade of this and maybe at that point try to figure out how to incorporate it better with the historic piece of this. So because we don't know where you are in this phase, and first of all, we appreciate you being here, we appreciate you standing in front of us. And please understand, this building is really important to us. And I'm sure at some point Barton shared the history, you know, of this building with you. And so it is important to preserve it, but also not overpower it. And even with the size it is, at what point can we maybe add more architectural design if we're past the point of reorganizing this piece? what about the facade of this piece? So it's more appealing, more attractive. It really activates civil pride, right? Right now, it just looks like a massive, huge building, and I agree. And even making it one, certainly one side of this, breaking it up slightly, and then turning around and not being able to add windows to the actual court side. Is there did you guys play around with another design idea? Because I think we've separated the historic elements and we've created something else. You know what I mean? Instead of incorporate some of those.
Well, one of the things that we have been working on is taking sort of the language, because like you said, you can't put windows in the brick panels of the courtroom, but taking the courses of headlock courses and trying to figure out if we can do something in those brick panels that relates to the historic patterning of the brick on the old building, but somehow brings it into the new and then breaks that up.
I think anything, it's to break it up. Again, I'm going to tell you under oath here that I am not an architect, but when I looked through, various pieces, and forgive my not so professional, I'd like to share with you some of the things that were pulled up, from old, buildings that were a fire station and how they incorporated those. And some of these are very old buildings, but yet they've rehabbed them. And we're missing the arches on the new building. We're missing some of the details that I think could easily, without changing the internal design, but giving it a little more lighter, make it look a little lighter. So that's personally, if anyone else has any comments.
I mean, I agree with those comments. There has to be some way, and I'm not familiar with the architectural requirements when you have a courtroom. The courtroom is only one level though in this building, isn't it? On the bottom floor?
Yes, but it's a tall space, right? Like we
It's
discussed.
tall,
Yeah.
right, but I mean, they're on the outside, there could be some way to break it up, right? Rather than being these long, something in the middle that kind of breaks it up. And then I just wonder whether at the top, where it's not a courtroom, like you have more flexibility to Allison's point, put in some details that would kind of bring this back to the historical site that it was. Because right now these are drawings, but it looks like just slabs of brick and extremely monolithic. And again, I respect that there are going to be certain limitations with respect to the courtroom level, but I don't think they apply above. And there is an opportunity there, I think, to Allison's point, to try and tie this back to the historical, or to the history of this building.
We can certainly look at that.
Pardon, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think I have like 4 comments. I think they're all easily doable. So, I don't mind the new courtroom. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do. And I get it. Are they gonna have any skylights or indirect light from above? Did you think about that?
No, we've set up that courtroom roof to receive solar panels at some point. So we don't have skylights coming in there yet.
Okay, so you think the slits on the
Mhm.
side will be enough, like natural light? Okay. Yeah, and I get it that it's trying to meet Secretary of Interior standards being different, but using brick, which is the predominant material on this building. So I understand where you're coming from on that. So a couple things to look at that maybe are fixable. So on the west side, what material is going to be on the ramp? It looks like concrete or something.
Yes, the ramp and stairs plaza will be concrete, and then the plaza itself. So the reason there's a plaza is again about this floodplain thing. The new part of the building is actually a foot higher than the old part of the building because it has to be in order to meet code of all kinds. So that's where the plaza came to be, but there will also be landscaping on the plaza as well, right? So it allows us to get a staircase here and then along where it says Township of Millburn, or along the face of the existing building, that's the ADA ramp up, right? So that everyone can arrive at that higher level.
And, I like how you did that, and I understand the difference. I guess it's just kind of a long, low wall, and so my question was materiality to soften it, or plantings in front of it that kind of grow up and cover it or something. If any thought's been given to that. I think the functionality of it, that works and gets you, that's almost going to become the de facto main entrance. I appreciate that you're keeping the Millburn Avenue facade. Although as the roof here wraps around the building, it looks like in your drawings that for some reason you're bumping up this cornice line.
Mm-hmm.
And why are you doing that? Because it's kind of nice like it is now, because you can tell, what's different from the original. So any thought about that, or could it stay like that? I don't see why it couldn't. So.
Well, again, we were just trying to unify this many pieces, trying to bring it together in some way, right?
I actually think it would be much better to keep it just like it. You can tell that that's different. I mean, I really like actually this facade, because I can tell, oh yeah, there's the old fire station, everywhere you can see. This part of the building is stepped down. I just think that looks like a lot of work for not a lot of benefit. And then you kind of lose some of the cornice detail and everything. So that would be my recommendation, is to keep that the way it is. And then on the, that side, the east side, is there any way, I think you're removing a chimney that's here, right?
It's on the end of the building on the
Right.
north side,
So
yes.
there's no way to keep that? The chimney?
It ends up, you'll end up subsumed in the new roof anyway, right?
Okay.
We're keeping the one that's further south,
Right.
right? And you'll see it in the plan, it's actually ends up in the middle of the hallway, but it's enough space to get around it.
I mean, even if you left it there and rebuilt it from the roof deck up, I almost think that would be better than dormers. Something to kind of make this part of the facade, I would make it different. I would, not match the windows, make them do something, make them more modern. Drop the roof line or something, just like you did on this side of the building. So that it's, it's not just a really long facade the way it appears now. I think functionality, it wouldn't affect anything. I would suggest you play with that and try to change the fenestration or something, just so it looks more modern. So that we know that that's an addition to the building. And then my last comment was, if there's any way in the plan, which I don't see why you couldn't, basically mirror the plan. So I would keep that staircase, because that's the historic staircase. That is not the historic staircase. So, and I think if you did that, it would actually make things better, because then you're putting server rooms, tax stuff, tax people, you're putting them on that side, and then you're putting the zoning officer, township engineer, construction official on the other side. And I think on the second floor, it would also work perfectly fine too. Administrator office would be more in the middle, which would be nicer. And, you could probably keep all the same people where they are. So was there any consideration why one stair over the other?
I would have to take a look at it. So a lot of the driver of this, because the original building and then this addition and that addition and this addition and that addition is also very unusual existing structure, right? Things have been cut off and changed, and some of it was, we really don't want to move this wall, and we're willing we can take this wall out. So it's some of that that's going on as well. it's a difficult building this existing building is a difficult building to change.
We understand, it's had many lives.
And it's done a bit ad hoc in some places, right?
That'd be my only other thing to possibly look at, just if there's a possibility, just because that is the original stair. And that there was no stair there. That looks like that was the chief of the fire department had his office there once upon a time, so. Anyway, those are my comments, thanks.
Talk about the north elevation.
What would it?
The north around window.
Oh, was that in this original version? So if you look at the last page of the packet, we did start looking at adding windows up high above the tree line on the north elevation, right? You can see the round window that would have been sort of where your seal is, right? Relatively speaking, in the courtroom. So we have started to look at that. And like I said, we can take a look at differentiating the brick in that upper area as well.
First of all, I just want to thank you for standing in front of us, and we know it's a tough job, and certainly incorporating the many lives, as Barton said, of this particular building. I'm going to get sappy here, but if any building, right, this is, to me, if any building should be really the pillar of the town, is the municipal building. And it identifies, to me, a community. And I think this should be really representative of that. And I think that we've got a great start. It's a building with a lot of history. It's gone through a lot of things. Originally, there was a school setting here. Now it was moved across the street, and now brick. So, working with all of those pieces, I think is really important, because with the floodplain that you have, which I recognize now that you've said that, is the parking lot. In a future date, maybe that's a courtyard to incorporate those buildings that we're trying. So the actual east side could be very lovely. And maybe if we think of what maybe the houses behind eventually might be part of this town hall, looking to the future and being able to say, we're going to create something, really spectacular here. Because I do think that this building is deserving, not the historic part. What is performed in this building should be the identity of the community. So I just appreciate you guys coming in front of us, and thank you for sharing, allowing us to share that. And we hope you take everybody's comments into consideration. We have a few quiet ones, though. And I will extend myself and I'm sure Barton or anyone up here, to support or comment or matter of fact, we'd love to participate in this. So we appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Do we have anyone in the public who has any questions for this applicant? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yes, thank you. We'll share this with them later. Perfect. Okay. We will move on. Great. So next application is number 574, 121 Highland Avenue, block 2201, lot number 8. It's a contributing property in the Short Hills Park District. Harry and Talia Gross, welcome back. We're anxious. I think what I'm going to ask, I think you guys have been sworn in, but because we have a new attorney, if you don't mind, could you be sworn in again? Perfect.
Don't mind stating your name for the record, please?
Heather Gross. Owner. Thomas Baio, B-A-I-O, architect.
Okay. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Affirm.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. I want to give background, so why we're here, right? The Grosses have lived in this home for many, many years and intend to live in this house for the remainder of their lives. Facilitating the use of a historic home for them is demanding an elevator. Mrs. Gross, Talia, has recently had surgeries on her feet, ankles, and hips, and finds it very difficult to go up and down stairs. And the luxury of it all is the reason we're here. They would like to get an elevator on this historic home. The house is a designated home, and if you haven't seen it, this is a picture of the house. It is a stucco facade, and we have identified the best location for the elevator and have litigated the best location over the last year in front of this board. We were here 3 prior times. The comments were very helpful from those prior visits, and most recently, in December, when we were here, I testified that I would try to do something to show the difficulty of placing the elevator anywhere else. So I'll start with that. I'll try to be quick, not to linger it. But the house is an L-shaped home, and it has a common foyer here, which exists on all 3 important levels: the basement, the first floor, and the second floor. The elevator this is the best location for it. In our prior iteration of the plans, I put the elevator here with its own lobby so that the cab does not open up directly to the driveway. And there were some issues with the size, the massing, the way in which a very important distinctive architecture, which was the 2 gables come together with this lower shed roof. It's humble, but it's an important architectural feature for the house. I have brought pictures. I don't know if they are very helpful, but I've taken photographs of the existing home. I only brought 1 set, so I'll pass them around. And I most recently met with Barton to go over this in my office. So now I'm going to get to what we've done. The elevator cannot be located anywhere else.
Can I interrupt just for 1 minute? For those who aren't familiar, can you show them the spot that you pointed out and where it is located on the survey, right there?
Oh, on
Can
this
you show
survey?
Can everybody see it? Yes.
Sure. Okay, so I want to point out that this is Western Drive, and this is Highland Avenue.
And the front of the house is?
The front of the house faces the side of the property, and the elevator would be placed right here off of the driveway and at the front foyer. So while it does front onto Highland Avenue, it's very difficult to see it. There's a lot of landscaping, the angles don't really support it. But it's an important element because it's in the front of the house. So what we've done, other than take pictures to explain the difficulty, since the last meeting, was I said, what is the smallest possible box we can do? I got rid of the foyer that served the elevator. I now have the elevator directly opening to the driveway. It will allow them to go up 1.5 feet onto the first floor of the house, as well as accessibility for the lower level and the second floor. I've made the shaftway, what was before nearly 11 feet across, I've now gotten it down to 6 feet. I've placed the shaftway directly on the facade so that this elevator can easily be removed and this will be restored to the original home. One of the elements that came up in the last meeting was the disassembly of it. I've tried to respect the 2 gables by pulling them away far enough where I don't touch those 2 gables. There's a photo of the eaves of one of these dormers that I took and its architectural character. So this small, shaftway no longer touches these 2 gables. Finally, we tried to distinguish this as being different than the historic home by matching the kitchen addition, which was approved by the HPC 15 years ago, 20 years ago, something like that. When did the kitchen get approved? 1980. Wow. Okay, there you go, 45 years ago.
Time flies.
So, and in the last meeting, I presented a box which began to look quite common to the house. We're going to return to an original drawing I did, which we had a long time ago, which is the arched window and the entrance directly onto the driveway. I had previously had a canopy here. We're going to remove that canopy. So other than this green canopy, the box is thinner, smaller, and respectful of the architecture of the house such that it can be removed if a future owner so chooses. We also introduced that the door at the bottom would be a steel door, further differentiating the structure in its year, right? A steel door is very modern. I met with Barden. He would like us to get some glass on that door. So I'll take any commentary on that versus just the steel. The cab would be visible if it was glass. They have cabs that are glass. The problem with a cab that's glass is that that's where the door is. So I can't find a residential elevator that has a glass door. So I kept it with the steel for that reason. We still will have the window up here, so you can see the cab moving. That's really the extent of the changes that we've made over the last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Barton, fill us in with your,
I mean, I've walked through the house. I met with Tom recently. We've examined numerous possible alternatives over the past year plus around the house. This newest proposal has reworked the elevator addition in as minimal a way as is feasible, as Tom has pushed it. It's no longer necessitating alterations to the existing gable roof, nor the shed dormer. The glass windows, which actually match the other addition, as you can see there, they give a more modern style to the addition and match the previous ones without creating a false sense of history. And, since viable options have been exhausted, we would recommend approval of this latest design revision.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
No, I'd just like to say thank you. I mean, I think a lot of work has been done.
Thank you.
Barton, Tom did bring up the glass and the door. Is that something that, one way or the other, is that something?
I mean, Tom's correct. Nobody's going to see this because of all the landscaping and everything. So, short of going crazy custom, I don't know that it can be done. At least, a glass elevator itself would be neat, but it's enclosed within this outer enclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens on the interior of these residential elevators is the doors, they don't have another door to latch onto. Like in a commercial elevator, the interior cab door and the door to the shaftway are integral until the elevator moves, and then the cab door is independent of that door. In this case, the cab door is a sliding, kind of cheesy folding door. Some are grates that are, and none of them are going to be another door swing. In no case, there's frankly no room. So the residential elevators are very restricted that way. So I felt that putting a glass door here, we'll do that if you want. I think we'd be better off with a modern steel door.
I'm fine with your lead, Barton, on that. Brad?
I was just gonna say, I still don't love having an elevator in the front of the house. I think that's the face of the house and kind of, I know I agree that you respected the eaves, you made changes to it. I'm happy with that. If Barton's okay with it, I'm okay to go forward with it, but I know you mentioned there was other areas you explored. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit, because I know we gave a lot of other ideas in our last meeting, Can you talk to like the issues with those other spots that we had discussed?
Sure. It's actually on the back of this. So we're in sketch format, but putting the elevator anywhere near that back staircase here is incredibly cumbersome. The landscape, the steps, and everything that's going on here with the driveway going to those garages declining significantly makes the placement of an elevator here very difficult. There's a mechanical room right here. I sent a picture of that in the packet. So we'd have to move the mechanical equipment around. And finally, on the first floor in this back corner, we have the elevator, we have the kitchen. So they would have to dismantle their kitchen to get passage back to the front foyer because their bedrooms are over here. So the common area is really here for the best one. I looked at another alternative. Can it go into the corner? The corner elevator would allow us to access the kitchen and the basement this way. On the second floor, it's not as good because it comes into a big room and they'd have to come down a step. There's a step in here to get back to the principal area of the foyer, and they found it very cumbersome. I also think the box in the corner, which I drew, it's just a real dog. I mean, it's just, you talk about an assault on his house. I think it was, I drew it up. I'm sorry if it's on tracing paper, but I think it's just, even if I put something tiny in that corner, let me do this correctly. There. So we studied that one. The only other alternative that we discussed, but it would be a major cut into the house, was can the elevator go inside and can we put ramps out here? Ramps to get into the house. They would prefer not to have that. The driveway turnaround is all right in here. I'm finding the picture. 1 second. This is the driveway. It comes right up to the front door. Ramps would have to be shoveled, de-iced. Not the most convenient thing for them. They want to be able to pull up and go right into the elevator. And so we nixed that idea of the internalization of the elevator. And we're hoping that this board sees it to help the Grosses get this elevator in their later life, and that the accommodations we have made are the best of what I would call the worst cases.
Well, certainly, I'd like to say, I appreciate your patience and working through this with us and understanding that really the front of the building should be preserved. But also, after consideration is the fact that anyone who lives in a historic house is challenged that the lots have been subdivided over time. So this particular house, you have two sides of street. You're on a corner lot. Your house is facing not one particular main street. So taking all that into consideration, I like what you've done here, and I appreciate the time that you've spent on it and the thought process in which, and you've allowed us to kind of work through this too. So again, I just wanted to remind the commissioners, this is a very difficult positioned house. And I think we need to show some possible leeway for this. So with that said, any other comments or, okay. So I'll take this time. Is anyone here in the audience for this application? No. So do I hear a motion to approve? First of all, we don't have specs on that particular elevator?
No, it was in the package.
Okay, great.
Severia. It's a Severia. This is the model.
Oh, great. And the door? Maybe that's what I was.
The door I put into the packet,
Okay.
right on here.
Perfect.
It's a steel door. It's going to look modern. The most important element of this door is to keep water out from the shaftway. Because we're right on the driveway, I don't have a foyer anymore. In making this smaller, that door had to be a very good waterproofing door. I met with this company who sells steel doors because that's what everybody wants on houses now. Like it seems, and they certified that this thing could be 12 inches underwater and it won't allow order to go in, the way the steel engages with the other piece of steel produces a weather-resistant element.
Well, let's hope that never happens.
Yeah, we'll have a sump pump and like all elevators, you should have a sump at the very bottom in the pit. So,
Well, thank you again. So do I hear a motion to approve this application as it stands? Second?
Second.
Thank
I
you.
don't think Gary can vote.
I watched the videos.
You watched the video?
I actually
All
watched the
right.
videos.
All right.
So he can vote, he can
I
second.
can,
is it on Netflix?
I'm waiting for the sequel.
So roll, please.
Brad Jenkins,
Yes.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Elizabeth Warrenberg,
Yes.
Ted Chocolate,
Yes.
and Gary Rose.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you again for your patience.
Can I just confirm really quickly, the plans that you were showing, that's what was submitted?
Identical.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's try to speed this up.
I'm moving along.
We got the guy. Here we go. Okay. New business, application number 597, 417 Wyoming Avenue, block 205, lot number 10. This is a contributing property. Hang on one second.
Yeah, they will.
Great.
Need help?
This is a contributing property, thank you, in the Wyoming Historic District. John
No, Gordon needs us. Okay.
and Patricia Mueller are the applicants. This is a regulatory application for construction of an attached addition with garage off the left side facade and other property improvements. If we could have the applicant and architect sworn in, please.
Sure.
Can you state your names for the record, please?
John Muller.
Timothy Klesse.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you.
Just do a brief introduction. My name is again John Muller. Thanks for the board to consider this application. I've been a resident for 25 years. Can't believe I'm saying that, but 25 years. Have 5 kids, and we love Millburn. We think it's just a great town. And I've been blessed to see my kids grow up and participate in the town, the community. So, we want to build an addition that welcomes what will be a growing family in the future. And my wife and I want to stay in the community. So appreciate you taking a look. And that's why we hired Tim.
You've
No,
been
no,
working
Tim.
on this for how long?
For a year.
He's been working on it with me for almost a year, but even before that, I think they've been working on it on and off
And
for
he
almost
kept
10 years.
He kept you on?
Can you believe it?
No, the other
No,
architects.
no, Charles.
I just came on about a year ago.
Oh, okay,
I don't
okay.
know who, there was a couple other architects. Anyway, I don't know, my license is in good standing, do I have to?
We trust you.
Okay. It's 417 Wyoming, block 205, lot 10, built in, I think, 1905. That's what it appears to be built. The intent here is to, I guess John's like finished paying for, or pretty much finished with paying for the kids' college and now wants to clean the house up and stay in it. And eventually make it their family home where, they have these 5 kids and they plan that the kids will end up married and end up with grandchildren and this will actually be their family home.
I heard he was expanding.
Yeah, that's what, he's not having any more kids.
No more kids, huh?
Because
I do have a high schooler.
Yeah.
Oh,
he has 1 left,
Yeah.
but his wife's not having any more kids. I
Okay.
just happen to know that.
Please.
So what we did is we wanted to build this addition onto this lot, and we did it, and we proposed an early design back on January 15th. I sent it to Barton because I was seeking his input, because I know it's really a contributing property in the district, and it's a prominent house, to say the least.
And so we sent it to Barton. We received input back and forth with some of the members on the commission and Barton, and came back and submitted again on about mid-February, and then cleaned up our stuff and finally submitted what you see before you on about March 3rd, okay, when we finally completed our application. And I'll just walk you through on my sheets, which are exactly the same as your HPC sheets. There are 21 series, and that's only because we had a 1 series and then we had a 10 series, which was those 2 previous submissions that we had kind of worked on, and we're just trying to keep track of what we're doing. But this is our 20 series. It's really our 3rd set. The other 2 sets are here if we want to look at them, but I don't think they really matter for us this evening. What I'm on my HPC 21. On the left side is the existing site, and on the right side is the proposed site. And on the proposed site, we're proposing to build an addition along the Cedar Street side. The house presently doesn't have a garage, believe it or not. And part of this problem would be to give us a garage, give us a family room, and give us a master bedroom suite, as well as renovating the entire building. And one of the primary things that we were being asked to do really from review as we looked at it was to form a little notch or a link to connect the new building to the old building. And you can see that as this little cutout on the front and the back of the building. That's sort of like a little buffer space between the old structure and the new structure, sort of that transitional zone. And that's what I think is allowing us to pull off this sizable addition on this side. Then we left the driveway exactly where it is, and we just cut our grade here to come into our garage. And then we have buffered and tree planted both sides of the property line so that the this new garage that we had is really, I'm going to say, not really visible at all from the street, except if you were coming down Cedar and you managed to get a look in through that little diagonal window. It's a little bit of an awkward driveway, but it serves the purpose of making the garage doors themselves not visible from the street. I guess I do also want to say that the primary elevations of this building are the front and the back. They're the pretty elevations of the building. And that's part of the reason why we're coming on to the side, because it's really a much subordinate elevation on the building. And that's something that we talked about a lot with Barton. I'm just going to skip well, I guess I should show you really this is really our basement plan. And I'm on my HPC 22. We come in through the driveway, come in, and we come into this new garage space, which is down on that lower level. If I come up, I get up into my first floor, which is my 23 sheet, and we have minor renovation to the interior of the basic house. Like we're able to leave the hallway, leave the dining room, leave the living room. We have removed the kitchen that was in the back corner here and have constructed a new kitchen and a new family room over our garage area. And this is that sort of notch that I was describing before, which is sort of letting us link the 2 buildings together. But it gives us the spaces we're looking for and, allows the owner to really stay in the house. When I come up to my 24 sheet, which is my second floor, we have made some interior modifications, minor, but really just adding bathrooms. There's a situation now where all the kids are basically running to this one bathroom behind the stairway, the back stair on the right side. So we made some modifications, then came in, added more to the kids' wing, and then built a primary bedroom suite on the left side. And that suite is pushed down into the building, as we'll look at in better detail in the rendering. When we come up to the 3rd floor, and this is a big, tall house. We come up to the 3rd floor, we really left it exactly as it was, didn't change anything on it. I come to I'm on my 26 now, my elevation. The primary building is really on the right side. And to get an idea how big the building is, I gotta say it's probably almost 45 feet tall. It's really, a big building. But that's our primary building, our connecting link, which we're trying to push down to minimize our connection between the old building and the new building, and then our new building here on the left side, right? It's really subordinate to the old building as we look at it. You see that show better in the rendering. I come in the driveway side. This is the side that I think the Cedar Street side, which is really hard to see low because of the planting that's in front. But we come in, we have on my 27 sheet now, our kitchen, our family room with a screen porch, and then we come up on the upper level to our primary bedroom suite. And up here is the existing third floor, and there's actually even a pretty tall attic space above. I mean, if you got a chance to really go to this house, it's really a big building. Oh, here we tagged the elevation. Well, from the first floor, it's 38, almost 39 feet. Now I'm on the rear of the site. I'm on my 28. It's, I guess the best way is if you were coming down Cedar, this is really the back of the building. You can see that the rear of the existing building is actually detailed pretty well. The front and rear are detailed very well in this. And this is our building coming into it, really subordinate to the existing. And that is the screen porch that's coming out sort of over the garage. Right, these windows are actually in the garage, those two lower windows. But we've pushed the building down and clipped it. That's our link as we cut through. If I come to my HPC 29, it's the sort of, we call it the right side elevation, sort of the high side. The existing building, there's that one-story existing, which probably at one point was an open porch or, a place where they dropped the ice or the milk at some point in time and something like that. And this is our addition, but our addition is now way back off of the picture plane. Off of this picture plane, this is probably back, 40 feet, right? And you lose the depth in the elevation. In front of there is a little patio space. Our HPC 30 is really just a section through the link. We didn't really need to include it to you, but we can see how we have pushed the link as low as possible to be able to still pass through. Now I have my existing drawings. You want me to run through them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just forget it, all right?
The
All
ones,
the existing.
ones that Barton had reviewed or existing.
Yeah, we have them all, and
No,
I know
that's
you
okay.
you'd want them for record, and we did the whole thing. But that's it, and what this whole thing looks like, I guess I should finish this, this is really standing on the corner of Cedar and Wyoming, right? Maybe a little up Wyoming. So you can see our building and then the primary building with the link between it. And we've matched the material. The house is a wood roof. I don't know how long ago you put the wood roof on it, but I remember you said, I don't know how long ago. It was.
15 years.
15 years it's been on. And the new work would all be a wood roof. I know Barton made a comment to us about not using AZAC. That's no issue at all to us. I looked back, Barton, I figured out that where I really used it was on the paneling for the panel of the paneling. But we could just as well use marine plywood to do the same thing. And that's really everything I think I have at this point, right? We really designed a two-story, I'm going to say, subordinate addition to the existing building. It allows us to renovate this home and clean it up and restore it and preserve it, and allows it to be able to go on and continue with its life And we allow a lot of other things, like getting the snow blower and the cars and all of that off of the site. I don't know if you saw all of that and how you come up high on the site. If we can get our parking down low, we'll actually remove all those cars and remove all of that parking, clean this whole site up. And I guess that's my entire presentation. I'll
Before,
try to make it quick.
before Barton, we don't need a variance for this, is that
No,
correct? You're
no.
within the,
You're within FAR.
We are, it's unbelievable how much FAR is available. The,
Really?
yeah, it's,
Was it R5?
the site has, it's an R5.
Yeah.
It has 9,000 square feet of allowable FAR. It's probably at about 6,000 done, maybe 6,200. It's way under, everything is way under. Building coverage is actually way under. Yeah. And so, and lot coverage is under by about 3,500 square feet. It's, yeah.
But I won't have to hear it again.
Yeah. No, the only thing that I was discussing with Eileen was building height. And the question that comes up is, when I add to the right, do I lower the mean grade? And is she gonna make me go for a variance for not the new building, but for the old building? But it seems like that doesn't seem to be an issue.
just another housekeeping kind of, do we really know originally, historically, which was the front of the house? I'm questioning whether or not the back was the front. And
You know, I don't know.
I have like old, really old blueprints. I think it was 1902, 1905.
Right,
And the Wyoming side is the front because where you see, I mean, it's a picture that's very snowy, but we found it there was two owners before me. There was the Kellogg's, and they owned it from 1902 to 1951, and then the Oswalds, and then we came in 2000. So there's been three owners. That's it, since, 1902. And there's this old picture from the Wyoming side of a horse and carriage pulling up to that side. And it's like a snowy, beautiful picture from way back when. So
wow.
that was the front of the house, the Wyoming.
Because the other streets probably weren't cut yet.
Yeah,
Cedar, those streets probably weren't, I would guess.
Right.
I wasn't around.
They utilized
No, that's
the
good, actually.
the front and the back, you know what I mean? They usually circulated somehow
Yeah.
around.
Yes, yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
And my next question is, are you crazy? Where, I'm in the process of downsizing and you're expanding. I'm just joking.
I just have a big family and I love everybody being able to come.
Come,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Any, Barton, any comments? I know you had some conditions. Would
Yeah, I
you
mean,
like to go over
it's-
those?
It's an important house. It's on a corner property. And, I appreciate Tim working through the design with us. So we were able to, get a hyphen. And so nobody's ever going to mistake that this isn't an addition to the house. And he even tried to break down the mass of the 3-car garage where it almost looks like a 2-car and an extra. So we did a lot with that, changing roof lines of the additions to make it the intersecting roof that it is now. So, this came a long way, credit to the applicants. And my only comments were just for the hyphen and some of the AZAC details, if they could be wood, and I think Tim is amenable to that. And then my only other comment was kind of the family room. I almost feel like it needs like just one more historic accoutrement or something. And so in the family room, they have a vented fireplace. And my thought was, could that just be a chimney to kind of balance the new facade? Other than that, everything, we would recommend approval because of all the work that went into this.
I will tell you, that was one of the features that architecturally, this side of the house is so beautiful that particular, where the vent is coming out, I agree with your comment, Barton. it needs some architectural detail right there.
This here.
Mhm.
Yes, just right there.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks. Where the driveway is? Yeah. What is this? Here's the driveway. Here. Yeah, this is the back. Let's say, okay, right here. No, that's the back door. Yeah.
It's just here, unless they're gonna do it half here.
Okay. We're good, right? Good. Okay.
So you're.
Yes, yeah.
So yes to Jim.
Oh, great, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
No, I think it looks great. This is a beautiful house. I know this house. I
Thank
drive past it. I think this is a great addition. Timothy and all of you guys have done great work together, so.
It does look good.
I
Yeah,
agree.
thank you. It'll look a lot better once it's done.
You're gonna live through it though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the
Right.
problem.
This is one of the ones that I actually think is gonna look better with the addition. Like, I don't think I think it's gonna like bring the house down, because the house is so high, you know, I
Yeah,
think
it really
it's gonna
is.
kind of bring it down a little bit, like
Yeah,
round it a little
I
bit, so I
agree.
think it's gonna look really nice.
Excellent. Is there anyone in the audience for this application? No? Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve with the conditions which are listed, and adding also then the chimney off the family room, is that correct? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there's no vote?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I
I'm
was at a
sorry.
meeting
I'm
last
sorry.
night till midnight. So, or 11. So,
We'll go quick.
yes,
Brad Jenkins,
Yes.
Allison Canfield,
yes.
Elizabeth Wonga, Venkatesh Chapalavada, Gary Rose.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought it was like some new thing or something.
Well, you never know.
Thank you, great job, appreciate it.
Good luck to
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
We're
I
excited.
need the luck.
Very
Everything else,
exciting.
yeah.
Very exciting. Great, okay. If I can hold it together, I've got a few more here. Application number 599, 17 Forest Drive, block number 2104, lot number 1. It's a contributing property in the Short Hills Park District. Brett and Wendy Prager are the applicants. It's a regulatory application for construction of a rear addition and other property improvements. If we could have whoever will be speaking sworn in, please.
That would be me.
That'd be you.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Nikhilesh Gorde,
Can you spell your last name, please?
KORDE.
Okay. And do you swear or affirm to that the testimony you will be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If I could ask one more thing, since this is the first time you've appeared in front of us, can we make sure that it is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Can you, I'm sorry, what is your position?
I'm an architect. I'm one of the principal architects at GRA Design Studio
Okay, and where did you go to school?
in India.
Okay, are you licensed in the
I'm
state of New
licensed in
Jersey?
United States in New Jersey, California, and Pennsylvania.
Okay, and when were you licensed in New Jersey?
23.
Okay, and is your license still in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, this is one we were questioning the notices.
Oh, okay. So were you able to serve notices?
Yes, we were able to serve notices.
And do we have a copy of?
Who did you provide did you guys give it to someone at town
Uh,
hall?
Mike Nera from our office, he actually provided, and I don't know who he provided it to.
Yeah, we don't know either, so.
Okay, so
Yeah,
can we move forward without?
I'm pretty sure
I-
we
so-
provided, I've confirmed it.
yeah, I don't have proof that notices were provided.
We're not doubting, it's just none of us work at that desk, so.
Yeah, we're all new. We have a new attorney,
I'm
Right.
filling
somebody's
in.
filling in, so believe me, this has been a fiasco here. So
We can
here the,
take your word and follow up later that it was delivered.
Well, I mean, so it does become a jurisdictional issue that,
There's no one here to object or comment, or if there's no notice, right?
it is a jurisdictional issue though.
That is a notice.
So, realistically, they would, if it wasn't noticed, then it would need to be noticed and they would need to come back. Do you have anything with you that would show that it was done and I can just look at it really quickly?
I could find out if the board would give me some time. I could text the person and find out whether I can get it for you immediately.
sure.
Did you want to circle back to this one?
Yeah, except I think we have a problem with the next one too.
Oh, we're aware that we'll come back next week.
So this is for
This is just for,
conceptual?
yeah,
Yeah,
just
okay.
for review, just to make sure that we're good, but we're aware.
Okay, perfect. Whew. Okay, so,
And we do have to go back to the other agenda items
right,
as
we
well,
do.
so, yeah.
So do you want to do that while he's trying to we'll do the agenda items first?
Well, we can go back, we can go to the.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you don't mind, we're gonna jump to the next application.
Sounds good.
And then,
I'll be ready.
sorry
by
to
now.
push you back a little bit,
Not a
but
problem.
perfect, okay. So let's move to application number 602, 141 Forest Drive, block number 3004, lot number 3. It's a non-contributing property in the Short Hills Park District. The applicants are Custom Building Group LLC. It's a regulatory application for construction of a rear addition and other property improvements. And we are in full agreement, this is conceptual, right? Okay, until the notices and, yeah, okay. If we could have conceptual, do they need to be sworn in? I'm sure.
No, they're not providing any testimony. They're gonna have to come back and do everything on the record, so.
Okay, so please proceed.
Okay, my name is Mark Marion.
Hi, Mark.
I'm an architect in good standing in the state of New Jersey. Been licensed since, I don't even know, 89. So you should have a package in front of you of the drawings and some photos. Existing house, the interior has been gutted already. It was purchased completely gutted, from what I understand. And, pardon?
Yeah, you,
It's this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's all right.
So, pardon? You got 'em? Cool. I could go over the pictures. I don't have them printed, but. I don't. There's a front elevation. Most of the addition is to the rear. We're doing a major alteration to the inside of the house, but we're not really affecting the outside. Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate it. The main interior renovations are on the first floor, we're adding a guest suite down there with an additional bathroom. We're expanding the kitchen area and opening that up, basically where it is. But the basic layout is the same. We're also adding some amenities like butler's pantry and working on the mudroom. But the front elevation should stay intact. Windows we're keeping. We are going to put a wood roof on it, replace the roof. Pardon? Just the addition? Oh, just the addition, okay. It's really 2.5 stories. On the second story, there's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths existing, and we're rearranging that and opening up the family room to make that 2 stories. And we're moving the laundry up. That's part of the addition on the second floor. And we're also expanding the master bathroom out the rear, kind of rearranging, adding a nice walk-in, nice windows out the back with dormers, and a nice master bathroom. But basically, there's still 4 bedrooms on this level with 3 baths, plus the laundry. That did move up. And in the attic, there's a space up in the existing attic that we're basically filling in. It's like open, it's almost 3 stories tall, the foyer. It goes all the way up to the attic. And we're gonna fill in that floor, so it'll only be 2 stories high. And we'll have to have a bedroom and a bathroom up there. And, but it's really, we're not making any volume changes. The dormers that exist to the rear and all the windows stay the same. So it's really interiors that are being affected. The main thing is in the rear elevation, which I think is the A6, which is probably the last sheet. You can see there's kind of a 2-story addition, which is a gable coming out the back in the middle of the building. It's not coming out very far. We're not even really, I think we're adding 100 square feet in the kitchen area. So there's an existing door in the family room, and we're adding windows up high. That'll be a 2-story space. The door to the left of this just single pair of French doors. That is to the breakfast/kitchen area. And the window above that is the laundry room. So it's going to get bricked. It's currently bricked at the base. And on the dormer addition over the garage, really, and the kitchen is for the master bedroom. And this currently has 3 small, if we affectionately refer to them as doghouse dormers out the back. And we're kind of incorporating that into a shed dormer with a little gable accent, which is really where the master bedroom is. The window to the left is in the bathroom. And we're just going to utilize matching materials on the back. It's mostly brick. It has some like rough edge siding on the 2nd floor. And we're planning on using some hardy plank, wavy edged fiber cement siding. On the 2nd floor, it would be really just at the master suite level.
So like it's on there already?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Thank you. And that's basically, it's a pretty small addition out the rear, but with just major alterations on the inside.
Excellent. Barton, you had a few comments or?
Yeah, I mean, well, we know this property, and it's 1983 original depiction. You know, I'm happy they're saving the house. They're gonna gut it and redo it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what we all wanted all along, so.
They originally were they wanted to take down the chimneys, but we're not going to do that. We're keeping them, but they're really remaining as decorative. But we are you won't see this addition from the front at all or know anything happened.
Any comments from commissioners? I just have one, just clarification, the current roof on this house is asphalt and you're
Yes.
going to put a cedar shake on the addition?
The addition part, there's not much roof we're adding, but yeah.
Okay.
And I guess we'll be back and I'll clarify that more for you.
Okay, perfect. And then the only other thing is the comments, Barton, that paint colors, we don't have, jurisdiction over, but one of the comments was,
It would match.
it would
These
match.
are paintable, so
Okay.
they'll match the existing.
It's painted or stained very dark.
Yeah, the shingles now appear to be wood, which is why we went with this. I just noticed in the notes that it says asphalt, so we'll compare the two, but the goal would be to match. So that was why we chose the wood initially.
Okay. And you'll have all of that for us with the full set, right?
Sweet.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I mean,
Okay.
I think unless anybody has anything that,
Great.
yeah, and thank you for being patient and
No problem.
Just to confirm, the next one will be May 1st?
be May 1st.
Yeah, just make sure when you notice, it won't be in this building. It's gonna be in the Board
Oh,
of Education
correct.
building.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I was gonna just put a note to
Yeah.
say, make sure
Very
to call the town before
Yeah.
you go to the meeting, just to make sure.
Yeah, you saw, you were here, you saw what was happening. Okay.
But for that meeting, we'll put you first on the agenda.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Thank
That's
So-
very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Good luck. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Oh, sure. We're just gonna take a quick break. So,
We found all the hard copies.
Oh,
You're good to
that's
go.
great.
Yep.
It's good to know that.
good to go. And made a mess of it.
Thank you.
I should be able to see that.
I know.
Completely tearing it down.
That was-
It's a many year saga, but happy ending.
This house, right, has a fire accident.
Yeah, that's the fire one.
Yeah. Didn't you approve the one that was supposed to knock it down on Bill or?
We approved the second version of an entirely new house,
Yeah.
but then they didn't go forward with it.
It's actually a nice looking house. And I know they worked on it a lot, so like. But
What is this?
yeah, which one?
This is 417 Wyoming Avenue.
No, that was.
Oh,
this one.
17 Forest.
Oh, good. Thank
Oh, so
you.
that is this.
Okay. Apologize.
What is Inaccessible?
That was, the one on Highland. Wasn't it?
What did we do to May? I don't see any other ones. I thought there was.
Was it the old business?
Oh, no, that was.
Yes, 17 Forest.
Oh, I thought that was removed.
I thought that was the one that Kim removed.
17-4.
Which one is?
No,
That was 17 Highland, that got moved to May 1st.
yeah,
That was me.
the right 17,
Oh, that was-
but
Oh, okay, yeah. that would be-
Sorry, when I was-
You know what, there's gonna be an issue next month if he comes back for 17 Highland with, everyone has to watch the YouTube videos. Because he was here before.
okay, well, we make a note that we remind everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's like- it's like that.
17 Highland was here before?
Yeah, 588, the one for next month.
Okay.
Tim one where they wanted to completely change the facade, but now they've decided to move the addition in the back. So
Do you know what month that was approximately?
we can do like we did on this one.
Okay.
Get a list of which dates he was actually here.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll send that out to everyone. So thank you again for being so patient. We did find
The hard copy.
perfect. Excellent. It's in the right hands. So please proceed.
As soon as I get this, he will work.
So while you're doing that, for the record, I did review the proof of service and everything is in order. So we do have jurisdiction to hear the application tonight.
Excellent.
I think I'm having bad day with Easel. So.
The easel isn't
It
like.
didn't work either. No. It doesn't have it all.
Old fashioned
Old
one.
fashioned.
They always work.
It looks so good.
Thank you.
So. I'm Nikhil Korde. I am the architect for this project. Wendy here is is the homeowner. She and her husband Brett. We designed a rear patio for them on 17 Forest Drive. I'd like to start with the site plan to begin with and explain to you how it's situated. So the main entrance to the house is on Park Place and not on Forest Ave. You actually have the garage side that's on Forest Ave. What we're trying to do is it's a corner lot. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create an open patio, a covered patio on the rear that's adjacent to the family room. So there's some sort of indoor-outdoor space. There's some sort of, more use of the space, basically. Because right now, if you look at the pictures of the current property on page A4, if I'm looking at the rear yard, it's almost like it's almost like it abruptly ends. There's no continuation to it. There's no place to entertain people, and there's no way to make good use of the pool and the spa and the connecting spaces that are there to the existing house. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to create a covered porch, covered patio on the rear. That's really not visible even from the Forest Drive side or the Park Ave side, but the only way it's possibly visible is from lot 14 and lot 2 that you can see over here, lot 14 and lot 2. The orientation of the house, the setbacks in themselves, and the natural screening that you see in the pictures, that's kind of does not make a massive visual impact to the property. All right. So what I have here are the existing plans of the house. Again, I just want to reorient you guys to understand. We're looking at Park Place on the front here, Forest Drive on the right, and what the patio that we're trying to add is on the back side of the family room and the office. So what that patio is going to do is actually, if you look on the second floor, there's really no addition on the second floor. You have the primary facing the rear yard, and there's a terrace on this. I'm on A2.
Thank you.
So there's just a primary that faces the rear yard, and there's a terrace that also faces the rear yard on the second floor. Now, I'm going to A3 now. I'd like to go in order. These are new people. Okay. So there's really nothing that's happening on the front elevation. The front elevation is an existing elevation. It's an amazing hearts-on design. There's clearly some additions that have come in the future. It's got that mid-20th century colonial revival style to it. There's no symmetry as such, but there is definitely a very nice rhythm to the house. What I really like about it is that there are some elements from the front of the house that I want to pick up and design the rear patio. So you see those round columns that are there, the railing, the flat roof. Those are elements that I really picked up, and we tried to design the rear patio based on that. If I look at the rear elevation in itself, it still has some 1990s rear additions that are there on it. You see that there's a line of gables that happens and those things. So I want to try and be sensitive in the design when it comes to rear addition, because the addition we're trying to propose is somewhere over here. That's the primary you see. There's the terrace that you saw. And we're trying the one-story addition right down here. Again, back to the pictures. So the elements of design we're trying to pick up are those round columns, the flat roof, and the railing that you see, and the addition that's going to be here. And as you can see, this side is the Forest Drive, and it's pretty much hidden with the landscaping that exists over there. A5 shows basement. There's really no change to the basement. A6, we have a zoomed in plan of connection to the family room. So you have these wonderful French doors that open out, and right now there's nothing covered over there. So that's where the covered patio is designed. That's the family room that you see and that you saw on the existing plans. The family room and the office, that's the existing kitchen. So the patio actually exists in most of the place. There's just a new addition to the patio, and then we are covering up the old and the new together. And then we are building an outdoor kitchen right next to it that's not covered. So when I'm trying to design it, I'm trying to design it within the lines that I see over here. And you'll see it in the elevations when we move on. So what's that doing to the second floor is that I have a terrace right next to the primary over here that just gets extended. The reason is that I don't want to have really high roof lines and high roof profile because I don't want it competing with what's existing. I still want that narrow horizontal look. So instead of doing something crazy with the roof over here, we just extended the terrace. So it still has that low rise, low feel to it. And just going to extend the railing all across. Right now, the existing terrace is here. The railing will just push out and go here. I'm going to skip A8, which is attic plan. There's no change to the attic. Okay. Going to jump to A9. So what you're seeing on A9 is actually the front elevation is exactly the same. There's no change. There's no addition. There's nothing over there. What you're seeing on A9, this side is lot 14 side. If you go back to the first page, you'll know what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the only thing that you're going to see. Again, what I'm trying to do is as a balcony extension, keeping it under the second floor level, trying a more horizontal profile rather than trying to go vertical or doing some crazy roof stuff over there, basically trying not to make it very obvious that it's an extension. I'm going to A10 now. If you look at A10, this is the part that we are extending right now. On the extreme right side, and then there's the small kitchen, that's the uncovered kitchen that you see over here. So in terms of design, what I want to say is that the shallow roof line supports the existing design. If you look at it, this is about a third of the whole length that I'm going. I'm not going the entire length for the rear patio. If I look at the height, in terms of massing, I'm like a third of the height. You're at 35, 38 feet over here roughly. And I'm just doing a 10-foot addition. So as a volume and as a mass that gets attached to the building, it's not a very massive volume. It's just reinforcing the horizontal dimension of the existing house. Okay, I'm moving on to A11. I should have introduced this part at the very beginning. If you guys go back to A1, page A1, there's a small existing shed over there. Now this shed is in disrepair. It's not safe. The homeowners actually want to update it, like make it so that it becomes safe. And they want to replace the existing exterior finishes like for like. So we said we're going to do it with certainty. And then we got comments from Barton that we need to change we had selected vinyl windows before, but we'll go with wooden windows that match the existing, and the asphalt shingles that will match the existing. Again, the shed's not really clearly visible from the outside, but we like how the house is designed. We like to maintain the character, and that's why we're going to go with something that really lives up to the standards of the house. All right, and then on the last page, I have a rendering of how that patio is going to look. the covered patio, how the extension is going to look, how the railing and the balcony is going to look. In terms of materials, finishes, colors, we will match the existing. We found a company that scans the existing color. And because every color changes with time and climate, they're going to see which is the closest matching shade that we can get over there. We're going to do that. The columns that we are calling out are HB&G columns. Those are not on the sets that you have right now. They are round fiberglass columns that we are calling out for. And obviously the railing is going to be composite. It's going to match what's there. The bluestone pavers are existing. They are a continuation of the bluestone pavers for the floor. There's this small wall that you see that hides the kitchen. That's going to match the retaining wall material that's on the sides on the property. That's it.
Barton, you wanna?
Yeah, I think the design is great. Obviously, this is a very important house as well, but this is on the rear patio. And they aren't affecting, the primary facades really. And even with the shed, I think it's just, the design's great. It's just materials, so no vinyl materials. And I guess if you don't want to use wood for the railings and everything, my recommendation was, you're already using fiberglass for the columns, you could use fiberglass HB&G railings.
We could do that.
That would be much better than vinyl, so.
All right, we can definitely do that.
Great. Any questions or comments?
So this wall you're showing, the rendering is going to match this wall, it's not going to be like this,
No,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
It's going to match. I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay. That was my
It's- It could be criminal.
Just one minor thing, the railings that come up by the outdoor kitchen, it shows like a black, almost metal. Is that what it's going to be in the end, or is it gonna be more like a white, like all the other railings are?
It's going to be like all the other railings.
Okay, so that was just, in the
That's,
rendering.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how Revit made the drawing. Yeah.
Housekeeping, no variance,
No variance. We are under lot coverage. We are under building coverage.
and the building shed you're just renovating, so I'm sure.
We are
it's
going to
pretty close.
repair it and just renovate it. That's great.
And the shed, an asphalt roof, again, just the way it is now?
The way it is now, there's no change to it.
Okay.
The windows will match the windows that are there on the shed. I think they're 3/2 awning. So that's the same windows that we'll be doing there.
Perfect. So Barton, will we need,
I guess we'll just need specs on the windows, because
I think we sent across specs, but I am carrying a copy.
and the change in the railings?
I do have a copy of the specs of the railing, and that's the window specs. I think it's 29, 25, that's the window. Trying to color match, so there are color options over there.
So the most important thing to us is simulated divided light with spacer bar or true divided light, one or the other. So no inside,
I get you.
no mutton inside the glass or anything, if they want to go to 2-pane glass. So-
Okay, I will definitely forward this to you
Okay.
once more, and we'll match whatever is required.
Okay, perfect. Do we have anyone from the public? There you go, you live here.
I love
You're
my
public.
house.
Okay, way to go. So hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve this application with the conditions which are written on Barton's report, and Barton will also follow up?
On window specs, we can
Yes.
follow up, and railing specs, I guess. And that should be
Perfect.
sufficient. Yep.
So do I hear a motion? Second.
Second.
Excellent, okay. Vote, I didn't forget this.
Brad Jenkins,
Yes.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Elizabeth Wonga,
Yes.
Venkatesh Chakalavada,
Yes.
Gary Rosen.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
It's a beautiful home.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Beautiful home. Yeah. Okay, guys, we just have a couple of house cleaning. We gotta go back. I forget what we forgot.
Great job. You can just
Thank you,
leave the old one there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, watch out.
Okay, so right now, we're just gonna go back to meetings. We needed one more person to vote. The minutes of February 6th, 2025 meeting have been distributed. Nope. Do you have any questions? Let's just, all in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Minutes have been approved. Memorializations, we have application number 577, 122 Cypress Street, application number 594, 1 Moraine, and application number 596, 441 Wyoming Avenue. Do I hear a motion to approve the memorializations as listed? A second? Roll, please.
Brad Jenkins,
Yes.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Elizabeth Wonga, Frank Ted Chapel.
What on that?
Want me to put this back?
No, I'll do it.
Thank you. You weren't? Okay,
Thank you, good job.
okay, so you won't be able to vote.
Carrie
I can't vote either.
So we have 1, 2, 3. Can we do that?
That's everybody. That's everybody to have to vote, so yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody that was able to vote.
Perfect. Okay. They've been approved. All right, so with that said, I'd like to conclude this meeting.
Open to the public.
Oh. Is there anyone in the public who has any comments? Oh, gosh, okay, so I move to adjourn this meeting, do I have a second? Second. All right, meeting adjourned, thank you, guys.